So you've probably already seen this.
Access 911, where's your emergency?
That was back in February, so 4 months ago that happened. And since then, I've seen the doctor, I don't know, 12 to 15 times, so quite a few different times. And not just for that, but for other things as well. And I kind of felt like it's time to update you on what's going on with me and sort of explain, why you haven't seen me backpacking, at least a current backpacking trip since that happened. I've put out a couple of videos where Emmett and I sort of recycled some backpacking trips that we've done, just sort of keep backpacking fresh on the channel, because I think people still want to see that and they expect that, and they should. But rhabdomyolysis is no joke. I will just tell you that straight up. And it's also extremely confusing. There's not a lot of information out there on it. There's no experts you can find that specialize in rhabdo, at least that I've found. And so information is limited. And if you know about it, if you're in the circle of, high endurance athletes and that kind of thing, it may seem common to you, but it's actually not. Only like 26,000 cases of rhabdomyolysis are reported annually in the United States. About a month ago or so, my family and I had a big maple tree in our yard, and it needed to come down because it was dying. So we cut it down, and I didn't want to get rid of the firewood because we have a wood-burning stove in our house. And so I spent a Saturday with a log splitter and a chainsaw splitting firewood. It was a hot day. It was sunny and 85 degrees out. About hour 6 into that, because it was a pretty big tree, I started to feel the exact same chest pains that I felt in the Grand Canyon. I mean, identical. I knew instantly what it was. And so I stopped everything I was doing, and I went in the house, and I told my wife, I'm like, I got to stop because I got that pain in my chest again. And I just absolutely freaked out. I thought I was going into rhabdo again, and it just totally scared me. One of the things that concerned me was, am I going to get this again? Are you prone to get it? Well, I finally have an answer from a doctor that I trust that no, you can't get it again just because you've had it. So that concern is off the plate. That can be challenging if you're a backpacker and hiker. I mean, you're always exerting yourself, right? So, you're carrying heavy packs, could be climate, all that kind of stuff, elevation. There's a lot of exertion that goes on. So that was a concern for me. But then the chest pain, I found out, was caused by, I have esophagitis. I can never say it. Esophagitis. The G sounds like a J. Esophagitis, which just means that my esophagus is inflamed and sore, and I have no idea what's caused it at all. But I've been given that as a diagnosis of what's caused chest pain. We've come to the conclusion that when I overexert myself, it's causing that to somehow be irritated. And so now I'm on medication, and I've got a much different diet to help with that. So that's part one. The other thing that's going on with me that you maybe don't know, my knees have been bothering me for years. So going on probably 4 years, my knees have been bothering me. My right knee especially has a really nasty crunching sound, kind of gross. But like if I go upstairs, it's audible, like very audible. You'll hear it if you ever walk next to me and we're going up any flight of stairs. And it's super painful. And so when all this went down with the rhabdo, I'm like, hey man, I'm going to see all these doctors. I may as well just get everything checked.
I'm at the orthopedic doctor, having my knees looked at right now. They've been bothering me for 3 years, 4 years probably. Very painful when I hike. And so they did some x-rays, talking about MRI. Gonna have a physical therapist come in here and talk to me now. And so I'm hoping that it is not a big deal. We will see.
I had been putting off getting my knees checked because I didn't want to admit, A, I'm in my 40s, so I'm getting older and things just happen in your 40s, start to fall apart. And B, I didn't want to admit that there was a possibility that I would have to stop hiking hikes that would impress people, right? Some of the more strenuous hikes, summiting mountains or doing the Grand Canyon and things like that. But it turns out I went and saw a doctor, and I had an MRI, and I have a recent report on my knees. I'll have the results next week. I go see the doctor to read this report because it's all medical jargon to me, but it sounds like, and I don't want to have any sort of a diagnosis yet because I don't know for sure, but it sounds like I have arthritis in both of my knees. So that's fun. When I rewind back, when I went to the doctor originally for my knees, he told me that he didn't even want me walking on ground that was uneven. I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, do you know what I do? So we've worked really hard to, I don't want to say hide it, but to put out videos that were still watchable, but didn't require me to put myself through anything that was going to cause further injury. But it's kind of the point now where I need to let you know what's going on. Next week, I'm going to find out in detail about what's going on with my knees, and I'll have better answers. But just know I have zero intent on stopping hiking or backpacking. I don't think you could stop me from that. It doesn't matter what kind of condition I'm in. I'm going to figure out a way to get out and do it. But I may be having to choose hikes that are less miles, less rigorous, less elevation. If you're wondering how I'm actually picking out these hikes, I actually use a website and an app called Onyx Backcountry. So that's what I'm using. It's good because I can see the elevation profile, so I know how strenuous something is. I can see my elevation gain and my elevation loss. I can see exactly how long it will be to get to a campsite. I can read notes on what this hike is actually like to see how strenuous it really is. So that's how we're picking out the next few hikes. So that really is going to help me decide what I'm physically capable of doing. And if you want to know how to do this, I'll leave a link in the description for this as well. So I didn't want to be like a Debbie Downer today. That's definitely not the goal of this video, but I did want to make you aware and sort of update you on where I'm at, kind of what's been happening, and just be completely transparent and honest with you about what's been going on, because I don't ever want to pretend. And I haven't really heard a bunch of comments from people. I haven't really seen many comments from people asking like, hey, Dan, why aren't you backpacking? Anything like that. So that's not why I'm making this video at all. But I just kind of felt like, it's time. It's time I kind of let people know what's going on. So next week, if you're a praying person, I wouldn't mind having you pray for me that, God will heal my knees and he'll make that pain go away. That'd be super awesome. And I think this medication I'm on is a positive thing for my esophagus, so that's good. And what's even crazier about all this is that none of this is related to the other. Like my knees aren't related to my esophagus. The esophagus isn't related to the rhabdo. That just sort of is like this storm of things that happened all at once where I found out all this stuff at once that was going on. So I blame it on being in my 40s. And not working out my entire life. That's always not necessarily a good thing either. I suppose we can blame it on that. But I do have plans also to hike coming up soon. The end of this month, we're planning a trip. And then another one at the end of July. And so we are getting back out on trail no matter what the doctor tells me. But, of course, it'll be based on parameters of what the doctor tells me. So thanks, you guys. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see you on the next one.